Good morning and welcome to this session. Uh, Following many responses to the last video about tips for students' exams, um, I would like probably talk about more tips or uh, raise the issue again. Uh, it might be useful for students who are expecting exams. Well, the first tip is no panic. Um, the thing to consider, to highlight, to underline, to fix in one's mind is that this is not the end of the world. No panic. Relax. Take it easy. It's a game. If you know the rules of the game, then you will be all right. Everything will be fine. And anyway, exams are not an end in itself. An exam, it's a means of learning. It's a one of the means in the process, in the overall general process of learning. So we are all learners and seekers of knowledge. Okay, students, and, teachers, and lecturers, we are all seekers of knowledge from cradle to grave. So we should know the rules to abide by, the rules of the game. So we all make efforts to learn. We have an amount of knowledge to to read about, to look for, search moment of the exam. So no panic. Don't We shouldn't be overwhelmed by strain, stress, and to the extent of losing control. Since we have been learning, we have been reading, then just stop and think. What Ask the question, ask yourself the question, what have I learned so far? And what I have learned is enough if I know how to implement, how to use what I have learned in the right way. Okay, as I have already said, what matters most is structure, organization of the exam, of the essay. Okay, if you produce an essay structured into an introduction, a body, and then a conclusion, then already, if you have this in mind from the beginning, then already it's a good step towards success, towards mastery of the situation, control of the situation. Okay, so I might go back to this. One of the tips, speaking from experience, of as an examiner, um, when students uh, have the exam, I'm talking about the day of the exam. Okay, you have your exam room, um, and then you look for student number and for an official situation of exams. So You look for student number card, and, identity card, and you have your, of course, your mobile phone. You have your bag, and you are looking for your room, or the appropriate room, appropriate seat number. Then you go there, and what happens is that, um, all right, because of stress, we're in a hurry, and that's normal. Okay, it's normal. And then stress is not always a negative thing. Okay, if it remains under control, it can have some positive implication. At least it's a sign that the student is taking the matter of the exam seriously. It means that the students attaches importance to the exam. The student is respectful. The students respects the rules. The students takes into consideration, or attaches great importance to the whole cycle of learning. And exam is only one of those means. So anyway, it's positive if it stays under control. Okay, uh, so um, when you when the student arrives or steps into the room, of course there are those uh, little things, that nobody talks about, right? Not not using your mobile phone or any other document, okay, on the table of the exams. You keep them away, and then you sit down, and then what happens usually, there are three, at least, yes, there are three sheets that are handed out to the candidates. First sheet is the topic of the exam. Okay. Second, it's the exam sheet, official exam sheet, and then the third uh, uh, sheet is rough paper. Okay, rough paper. Right now, um, usually students are uh, kind of impatient to have, of course, the topic, and impatient to have the exam sheets so that they can start writing the name and student number, and fine. It's a little thing. It might sound trivial, but I think it's important. It's part of the little tips that enhances self-control, control of stress, control of the situation of this exam. Okay. Now, uh, probably the first sheet to be handed out is the topic, so that the students can take the topic and start thinking about the topic. No panic. Okay. No need to rush for the exam sheet and start writing your name. And this is one of the signs of stress and lack of control. I think first thing is, take the topic, sit down, think about it. The exam sheet and rough paper, they are not going to fly away. They are going to reach you anyway. So the second sheet in order of importance is the rough paper, not the exam sheet. Okay, so you think about the topic for a couple of minutes, and then the rough paper is there. Start taking notes. Okay, start taking notes. Ideas that come across your mind, things that you remember, mean what you know about the topic. And then, in the meantime, you are thinking about the outline of your essay. Okay, the outline of your essay. And then, all right, you think about the outline, and then you take that kind sort of traditional plan, that 5 unit or 5 paragraph essay form. Okay, then you start thinking about what to put in the introduction, what to put in the body first, meaning second paragraph, third paragraph, and the fourth paragraph, and then the fifth paragraph. Okay, start thinking about in your rough paper. Okay, preparing things, what to say. And once you've finished, then taking notes, then you start writing out. Okay, all right. Probably note taking and thinking about topic might take, um, let's say, it depends. But of course, this pandemic, I'm going to talk about the special situation of the pandemic. But normally, if you have a two for undergraduate students, if you have a 2 hour exam, then probably the first 20 minutes of you are thinking about the topic, and then you are taking notes down. You are writing down your notes, okay, and looking for an outline for your essay, okay. If you have that, if you follow the structure of the 5 unit exam or 5 paragraph exam form, then think about arranging your ideas, that you remember within, following this structure. Okay, all right, and then once you have found the outline, you start writing out the essay prompt, not on the exam sheet directly, but on your rough paper. All right, and then probably the last half an hour, or not half an hour anyway, probably it's just for copying out your essay from your rough paper into your exam sheet, which is a way of, to some extent, this enhances the spirit of being careful, being meticulous, avoiding mistakes, making, let's say, inattentive mistakes, good language mistakes. I'm talking about Anglicist students sitting for exams in the departments of English studies. Okay, so writing out in your on your rough paper, and then writing out, copying your essay on your exam sheet. So the official exam sheet is the last thing to get, or to bother about. All right, not the first one, because it's a sign of stress when you rush to the exam sheet, because this is the most important. It's normal, it's natural, it's the most important thing, because it's not the rough paper, it's not the topic sheet, but it's, you are right. But that is one of this is one of the tips that marks the distance, the necessary distance, that enhances control of stress, control of the stress related to the exam. Okay, so I think it's a little game. Might sound trivial. Speaking from experience, it's important. Another thing, um, yes, this avoids making a common mistake, and that mistake is that uh, students, they have, for example, a topic, uh, uh, write about, I don't know, the question of good and evil in a given short story, write about irony in a given short story, write about dialectics of great and small in a given novel. Okay, so this is the topic. Um, so the students, as soon as they get some students, as soon as they get the topic, of course, they have been reading about the short story or the novel or the play or the poem or whatever. in literature. And because of strain, because of impatience, uh, the candidates start writing, filling out that terrible thing, which is the blank sheet, the blank exam sheet, the fear of not being able to finish in time, to write enough. Okay, so anyway, it might sound trivial, but it's important. Okay, so uh, all right, so this is why I said the exam sheet is the last thing to get in this group of three important sheets on the day of the exam. The topic first, sit down and think about it. Then the rough paper, take down notes, trying to find the logic, writing down ideas of what needs to be demonstrated in your essay, to be included in your essay, and then finding an outline of your essay, the structure of your essay. Okay, and then uh, next step is writing out the essay, and the step after is copying the essay into the exam sheet. So if you have 2 hours, I mean, I said the essay should not be that long, okay? But it should be structured into 5 units, okay? To be honest, there is debate about whether 5 is always necessary. Then I think what matters most is this structure, okay? Not writing, filling in the blank page with something which is not organized. Okay, uh, 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 under stress, and yes, stress engenders impatience, and impatience engenders mistakes, lack of organization. Okay, so for the sake of control, follow these steps or these tips. But this is, I'm speaking from experience. Okay, but every single human being, individual, has her or his own little tips or little procedures. But this is a piece of advice, okay? In order to avoid rushing to the exam sheet and filling it out, okay? It's not the right way to combat the stress of the exam. And then, yes, uh, uh, when students sometimes they see that their sheet is there is something written on the sheet, they said, okay, fine, all right, I've finished. So hand their final sheet over to the examiner in the room, and then leave the room, probably for a session of 2 hours, probably just within an hour the exam is over for such students. And this is not good. This is not good because it is stress, it is impatience, and lack of control. All right, because the writing is a difficult process for everybody, for learners from cradle to grave, including those renowned writers. Sometimes it takes time to write a good paragraph. Okay, it requires a lot of patience, a lot of perseverance to produce a good piece of writing. Okay, so writing is difficult in general, and it requires that the writer should uh, uh, give enough consideration to the writing. So following that procedure for the students, starting with the topic, start and then the rough paper outline of the essay, and then copying out the essay on the final exam sheet to be handed over. It's a way to be impatient. Sorry, to be patient. It's a way to be more careful so that you can avoid mistakes and avoid lack of control. Okay, so if you have 2 hours, even if you are quick enough and you finish after an hour and a half, then just sit down, take 5 minutes, breathe. Okay, think about something else. Okay, and relax and go back to your sheet and read it again, looking for little mistakes, little imperfections that you might catch up and correct before handing over the final exam sheet to the examiner. Okay, so I hope that by sharing my experience as a as a as a lecturer, teacher, examiner, um, this shared experience or this video might be useful for students to improve their relationship with this monster, the exam. Thank you very much. Have a nice day.